Good morning and welcome. I'm glad you could join me this morning when I drink my coffee and learn about animals. So, yesterday we learned about a classification of animal called mammals. Do you remember the four things that make a mammal a mammal? I'll let you think about it for a second. Four things. Let's see if you can remember one or two of them. All right, think about it. Did you think of one? Okay. What was one thing that makes a mammal a mammal? Nice job. They have hair or fur. What else? They have live babies. Nice job. Okay, what else? What do those babies do? You got it. They drink their mom's milk, right? They nurse. Okay, one more. I think this is the tricky one. Think about what kind of blood they have. They are warm-blooded, right? Guess what? You are a mammal. I'm a mammal too. Oh my gosh, I have hair. I can have live babies. My babies drink milk. And I'm warm-blooded, which means my temperature is always the same. That way we can tell when we have fevers or not. Okay, today we're going to learn about another classification. Let me see if you can guess. Reptiles. Ooh. So we learned about mammals yesterday, and today we're going to learn about reptiles. Look at these. So these are reptiles, huh? I wonder what makes a reptile a reptile. You ready to find out? Good, me too. Okay, reptiles of all kinds. Bobby Coleman book. Thanks, Bobby. All right, I'm wondering now, is this going to be a fiction or a nonfiction book? It's shiny right there, isn't it? It kind of looks like a photograph, doesn't it? So what does that make it? Look what I found. Table of contents. That means it's a nonfiction. Nice job. Because photographs and table of contents are nonfiction text features, right? They only happen in nonfiction books. And we're also learning about headings, right? We learned about headings last week. These are all the headings that you're going to see. It kind of tells you what that section is going to be about. And today, this week, we're learning about captions. And captions are the explanations under pictures, so you know what you're looking at, right? So photographs and captions go together in nonfiction books because the captions tell you what the photograph is. Okay, so table of contents. Oh, so many different things about reptiles. Sorry. I know there's a glare on the book. I'm trying to fix that. Oh, look at this heading. Many kinds of reptiles. There are many kinds of reptiles. Some reptiles are big and others are small. Reptiles belong to 4 groups. How many of these groups do you know? Gavial. That looks like one of these. Alligator, caiman, crocodile. So that's the crocodile, alligator, caiman, and gavials make up one group. Turtles and tortoises make up another group. There's a turtle. Snakes and lizards make up the largest group of reptiles. So there's a snake and a lizard. And look at me, I'm trying to sound out that word, right? I use my skills to break up the word. Tuataras, right? Tuataras make up their own group of reptiles. Wonder what tuataras are. I've never heard of it. Okay. reptiles have scales. Okay, whoa. So this is where we're going to learn about the things that make a reptile a reptile. So we know mammals have fur and hair. Reptiles don't, though. What did it just say? Reptiles have scales. Absolutely. All right. All reptiles have skin made of scales. And if you look closely, you can see, look at all those little individual pieces. Those are the scales. Other reptiles have rough scales. Scales protect a reptile's body. So that's a physical characteristic that helps them survive. It protects them. All right, more about scales. As reptiles grow, they lose their old scales and grow new scales. Losing scales is called shedding. Reptiles shed many times. Snakes shed all their scales in one big piece. Lizards shed their scales in smaller pieces. Lizards often eat the pieces. All right, so look at, so there's the snake. They lose their skin all in one, right? Their skin kind of gets oily and then they rub up against something and scrape it off and it comes off like that. Lizards kind of lose it like if your skin is flaking off, kind of like if it's dry skin or if you have a sunburn, right? They lose it like that. It comes off in little pieces. All right, look at this caption right here. I wonder what this caption is going to tell us about this photograph. All right, this lizard has rough scales all over its body. And we can see that. You can tell if you rubbed it, it'd be really bumpy. You can see the texture of it. Okay, so reptiles have scales. What else makes a reptile a reptile? Do you see the heading? Point to the heading. Yeah, right there. There it is. It's going to tell us what all this is about. And this says cold blood. Now, you and me, we're both warm-blooded, right? Which means our blood always stays warm. Cold-blooded. Reptiles are cold-blooded animals. The body of a cold-blooded animal is the same temperature as the place where the animal lives. So it has the same temperature as the air around it. When the weather is cold, a reptile's body is cold. When the weather is warm, a reptile's body is warm. Most reptiles live in warm places. You can kind of tell it looks warm right there, doesn't it? All right, let's look at this caption. The snake-necked turtle lives in Australia. This basilic lizard lives in South America. All right, this little subtitle, staying healthy. Reptiles cannot stay healthy if their bodies get too hot or too cold. When reptiles are cold, they lie in the sun to get warm. When reptiles get too warm, they cool off in shady spots. This snake was too hot. It has gone underground to cool off in the soil. Let's look at this caption about this lizard. This pink agama lizard is sitting in the sun to warm its body. So think about this. If they're cold-blooded and their body and their blood is the same temperature as the air around them, how do you think a snake or a lizard or any reptile would feel outside in your yard right now? You are right. They would be so cold, right? They'd be frozen. That's why they live in warmer places that are warm all the time because they couldn't survive in the snow and the cold. That's why all the snakes that we have you don't really have a lot of reptiles besides snakes. That's why you don't see them in the winter. They hibernate to survive. That's one of their behaviors of how they survive and adapt in the winter. But most of them, like the lizards and a lot of like the turtles and salamanders, they don't live around here because it's too cold. And they don't hibernate. That's not how they behave. So they would go to the warmer areas. So that way their blood can stay warm all the time and they can be healthy. All right, so we learned 1, they have scales. And 2, they are cold-blooded. Totally different from mammals. What else? Their bodies. Look at this heading, reptile bodies. Well, this is all going to be about their bodies. All reptiles have backbones inside their bodies. A backbone is a group of bones that run down the middle of an animal's back. Like ours, remember we felt them yesterday? So that's the same as a mammal. Mammals and reptiles both have backbones that go down their back. There's a tortoise's backbone. And there's the tortoise. The tortoise's backbone is attached to its shell. How do reptiles move? Most reptiles have legs. Reptiles with legs can walk, run, or swim. Snakes do not have legs, but some snakes can swim. On land, snakes move by slithering. To slither is to slide on the belly. Try slithering on your belly. Can you move like a snake? Crocodiles have short legs, but they can still run quickly. It's true, I've seen it. And look at this caption. Some snakes slither slowly, others slither quickly. So they either have 4 legs or they have no legs. No reptile only has 2 legs, right? So they have backbones and they either have 4 legs or no legs. Breathing air. Do you breathe air? Take a big breath in. Yep, we breathe air. Reptiles must breathe air to stay alive. They breathe air using lungs. Lungs are body parts that take in air. They also let air out. Most reptiles have 2 lungs, but many types of snakes only have 1 lung. Yeah, they don't have a big body for that. Ooh, this is a sea turtle's lungs. Living in water. Some reptiles live in water. Reptiles that live in water still need to breathe air. They swim up to the top of the water to breathe. Alligators live in water and on land. When they come up for air, only their eyes and nostrils show above the water. Sneaky. So put your hand on your chest right here. Breathe in. Breathe out. Can you feel it getting bigger and then going back? Those are your lungs getting bigger when they breathe in air. And then when you exhale or breathe out, they shrink back to their regular size. Right. This caption says, this sea snake lives in water. It needs to breathe air every 15 minutes. To breathe, a sea snake lifts his head above the water. Right. So reptiles breathe air. Ooh, I know mammals have live babies. Look at the reptile pictures. This heading tells us this section is going to be all about reptile babies. Most reptile babies hatch from eggs. Their mothers lay the eggs on land. Some reptiles lay hard eggs. Other reptiles lay soft eggs. After hatching, baby reptiles look just like small adult reptiles. Look at this, looks like the same thing as their mommy and daddy, just smaller. This turtle looks like the same as its mommy or daddy, just smaller. Breaking through. Each baby reptile has an egg tooth. An egg tooth is a hard tooth on the baby's face. The baby uses this egg tooth to break through its egg. the egg tooth falls off after the baby is out of the egg. So I don't know if you can look really closely. There's a little bump right there. Can you see it right there? That's the egg tooth. It helps them break open the shell. Born live. So remember when we were talking about mammals yesterday, and almost all of them have live babies like we do? Well, there was one or two that laid eggs trying to trick us, that platypus. Guess what? There's a couple reptiles that have live babies just to try to trick us. A few types of reptiles do not hatch from eggs. They are born live. Reptiles that are born live are not inside of eggs when they come out of their mother's bodies. All right, on their own. Most reptile mothers do not take care of their babies. Last week, we learned about the behaviors and how they parent. Mammals parent by staying with their babies and taking care of them because the babies have to drink the milk. Reptile babies don't have the grown-ups with them. The baby reptiles must take care of themselves. This caption says, many types of rattlesnakes are born alive. All right, so we learned some very important characteristics of what makes a reptile, right? So reptiles have scales. Good job. Reptiles are cold-blooded. Nice. And the other main one is reptiles hatch from eggs. Nice job. So those are the, whoop, I just dropped my book. Those are the 3 characteristics. Mammals had 4 because the babies drink their mother's milk, right? And that was different. And reptiles only have 3. All right, so now that you have read a book about mammals and you have listened to a book about reptiles, I want you to go to our bookshelf and choose an animal book and see if you can pick one that's either a mammal or a reptile, right? Because we haven't learned about the 2 other groups yet. So this might be tricky. You have to look at the photograph on the front. Will it have scales? Or does it have fur or hair? Look carefully, right? Make sure when you comment under your reading, you tell me what kind of animal you chose. Did you find a mammal or did you find a reptile? All right, you have a fantastic day and I will see you tomorrow.